From the instant the shocking news first hit the wrestling world, the WWE Universe was thrown into an emotional freefall that no one could have prepared for, and unlike the scripted drama that fans have come to expect from Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, this wasn't a heel turn. This wasn't a surprise comeback or a cleverly planned swerve. This was reality in its rawest and most devastating form, crashing into the life of one of the most beloved and hardworking superstars of this generation. Bianca Belair, the self-proclaimed EST of WWE, a woman who has been the very definition of strength, speed, resilience, and charisma. A superstar who has carried the women's division through some of its toughest years with unmatched dedication and magnetic presence. Now lying in a hospital bed fighting for her life after suffering a massive heart attack just hours after performing in a brutal high-intensity WWE live event, and witnesses to the horrifying moment backstage have painted a scene so chilling it's almost unbearable to imagine. 1 second she was still beaming, sweat still glistening from her match, sharing a quiet laugh with her husband Montez Ford, and in the next, she suddenly clutched her chest, her expression twisting into pain, her breath turning shallow, her skin rapidly draining of color as the gravity of the situation took over the room, triggering instant chaos as fellow wrestlers, trainers, referees, and officials dropped everything and rushed to her side while frantic shouts for paramedics echoed through the backstage corridors, the tension and fear so thick it was almost suffocating, and according to those present, she collapsed fully before the ambulance could even arrive, leaving no moment for reassurance, no final wave to the crowd, no comforting smile, because this wasn't about the show anymore, this wasn't about WWE storylines, this was about sheer survival. And with sirens screaming into the night, the ambulance tore through the streets while social media exploded in confusion as thousands of fans wondered if this was some elaborate work, a fake injury, or an upcoming angle for television. But the truth, the unvarnished, devastating truth, was far darker than any scripted drama WWE could create. Because doctors at the hospital immediately confirmed she had suffered a severe cardiac arrest so life-threatening that had emergency intervention been delayed by even minutes, she would have died on the spot, and, without wasting a second, the medical team rushed her into emergency bypass surgery to clear and repair blocked arteries, hours crawling by as anxious fans stayed glued to their phones, refreshing every platform for updates, praying for good news, until the words everyone feared finally came. Bianca Belair is on life support, and the powerhouse who has built her career on being untouchable, the woman who stood as a symbol of unbreakable will, is now motionless in a sterile ICU room, machines breathing for her, the steady beeping of monitors now the most important rhythm in the world for everyone who loves her. But if the heartbreak wasn't enough, what pushed fans from grief into rage was WWE's first public statement, which infuriatingly described the situation as a medical issue and claimed Bianca was resting comfortably. A choice of words so insultingly misleading that it sparked immediate outrage, because the reality is her heart had stopped. She was connected to tubes, she was unconscious and calling. That resting comfortably wasn't protecting her privacy, it was corporate PR spin at its most shameless, leading fans, journalists, and even wrestlers to demand answers and accountability, with difficult questions now being asked out loud. Was Bianca rushed back into the ring too soon after previous injuries? Was she overworked to exhaustion? Was this tragedy preventable? And if so, how many times have we seen this story play out before in WWE's history, where a star is pushed beyond human limits for ratings and ticket sales until their body simply gives out? And backstage right now the atmosphere is thick with anger and unease, with multiple roster members privately blasting upper management for their negligence, and the toxic culture where pushing through pain is not only expected but demanded. And sources have revealed she had been openly struggling with fatigue and minor injuries for months, but was still booked into high-impact matches with little to no recovery time, culminating in the physically punishing live event that may have been the final straw, while veterans who tried to raise concerns about her condition before this crisis say their warnings were brushed aside with the cold and now haunting phrase, "We need her for the storyline." A phrase that fans online are now repeating with dripping sarcasm as thousands flood WWE's social media with hashtags like #SaveBianca and #WWEFail, demanding real transparency and even calling for the cancellation of shows until she recovers. while wrestling legends, many of whom normally avoid public criticism of the company, have spoken out to express their anger and disappointment, which says everything about just how serious this is. And inside, the hospital sources confirm her situation remains critical, with the next 48 hours being make or break for her survival, prompting fans worldwide to hold prayer vigils, donate to fundraisers for her medical costs, and flood timelines with emotional tributes. While Montez Ford has reportedly not left her side since the moment she was admitted, seen breaking down repeatedly as the reality sinks in that the love of his life is fighting not just for her career but for every heartbeat. And yet this tragedy is more than one woman's medical emergency. It's a glaring indictment of an industry that glamorizes toughness to the point of cruelty. A machine that never stops turning even when the people inside it are being crushed and the company's stubborn. Refusal to give detailed updates or promise policy changes only fuels the fury, with fans and wrestlers alike asking how many more need to collapse, how many more need to die young before the culture changes. But just as the public starts to process the severity of her condition, an even more terrifying update leaks from inside the hospital, with doctors now expressing concerns about possible neurological damage due to the prolonged heart attack and time spent on life support, meaning her brain function could be compromised, a gut-wrenching possibility that turns her fight into not just a battle to survive but a war for her quality of life. And this latest development has ripped away any lingering hope that this would be a quick recovery, hitting her colleagues and friends with crushing emotional weight, leading major stars like Sasha Banks to reportedly confront WWE executives in private meetings, demanding accountability and openly accusing management of neglecting wrestler health. While Rhea Ripley posts cryptic but clearly pointed messages online that fans interpret as either a rallying cry or a direct condemnation of how Bianca's crisis is being handled, and outside WWE, the wrestling world has closed ranks around Bianca, with AEW talent, independent wrestlers, and former WWE names flooding social media with support while at the same time calling for sweeping industry reforms. While on fan forums and Reddit, the conversations are more blunt and damning, with some accusing WWE of knowingly pushing her past her limits despite clear warning signs. And on the medical side, while her doctors are doing everything possible to stabilize her and prevent irreversible harm, the